Rafi stood near the power core chamber of the alien warship, Zareth's Claw. He had never been on a Zarthan ship before. The walls were cold and made of dark silver metal. The lights were dim, and everything smelled like old ice. His hands held a human-made repair tool, but the wires in front of him were unlike anything from Earth. He looked around, unsure where to begin. Just then, the door slid open with a sharp hiss. Commander Talon stepped inside. She was tall, slim, and carried herself like someone born for command. Her skin was pale blue, almost glowing in the low light. She wore a black armored uniform with silver lines across her chest and arms. Her long white hair was tied tightly behind her head. Her eyes were sharp, serious, and cold like the snowy planets her people came from. Rafi had heard stories about her. They called her Ice Commander, not because of her planet, but because she never smiled, never laughed, never showed emotion. "You are the human engineer," she said in a voice that was flat and firm. "Yes, Commander, my name is Rafi. I do not care for your name. I care only that you fix the control systems." Her words hit him like frozen wind. Rafi nodded and walked toward the console. He started scanning the damage with his tool. Talon stood behind him, arms crossed, watching closely. She didn't blink much. She didn't speak. She just stood there, like a statue made of snow. The silence became heavy. Rafi tried to break it. "You know," he said while connecting a wire, "your systems are advanced, but they're still similar to ours in some ways. Kind of sweet how technology finds common ground." Talon's head turned quickly. "What did you say?" Rafi looked up, confused. "I said, it's kind of sweet. The systems, they work well together." Talon's face changed. She didn't speak for a moment. Then she slowly stepped forward. Her expression was strange. Her lips were slightly parted. Her eyes were not cold anymore. They were wide, and her cheeks turned a lighter shade of blue, almost like a blush. "Say it again," she said quietly. Rafi blinked. "Say what? That word. Sweet." Rafi scratched the back of his neck. "I just meant the system design is nice, smooth. It fits well. I didn't mean anything weird." Talon's voice was softer now, almost like someone unsure of herself. "No, one has used that word on me before." Rafi smiled a little. "Well, maybe they should." She looked at him for a long time, then turned away. "The control panel is behind that wall. Continue your work." Her voice was back to normal, but her steps were slower, almost thoughtful. She didn't stand behind him anymore. She walked to the corner and sat on the side rail. Pretending to look at her datapad, Rafi returned to work. But his mind was spinning. What just happened? Hours passed. The repair was almost done. Rafi worked with focus, but he noticed something odd. Talon was still there. She didn't leave. Usually, officers gave orders and walked away. But she sat quietly, reading files and sometimes stealing. Glances at him died at one point. She spoke without looking up. Humans use many strange words. Sweet, soft, warm. Do these words carry power among your people? Rafi stopped working for a moment and looked at her. Kind of. We use those words for things that make us feel good inside, like kindness, friendship, peace. Talon nodded slowly. We do not use such words. Zarthans respect strength. Emotion is seen as a flaw. Rafi smiled. Sometimes, emotion gives strength, just a different kind. She looked up from her datapad and stared at him. You are different from the others. Different good or different bad? I do not know yet, she said simply. Rafi chuckled. Later, as he packed his tools, Talon walked over. You have completed your task. Yes, Commander. The system should be stable now. But if it acts strange again, call me. Message me. She looked at him for a second, then asked something unexpected. Will you teach me more words like sweet? Rafi was surprised. You really want to learn. I want to understand why that word made me feel strange. Rafi nodded. Sure, I can make a list for you. Talon gave a single, small nod. Very well. She turned to leave, but then stopped at the door. Without looking back, she said, Good work, Engineer Rafi. He smiled. Maybe the ice commander wasn't made of ice after all. As the door closed behind her, Rafi sat down on a metal crate and thought about the day. He came to fix a machine, but maybe, just maybe, something else had started to change. The next morning, Rafi entered the lower engine bay of Zareth's Claw to check his final repairs. He was alone at first. The cold air of the Zarthan ship felt sharper today, but he had grown used to it. As he tightened a panel near the coolant lines, he heard the familiar hiss of the door behind him. Commander Talon stepped inside. Rafi looked up. "Good morning, Commander." Talon gave a small nod. She walked closer, holding a slim silver tablet in her hand. "I came to review your repair notes," she said. Rafi smiled. "Of course, I saved them on the shared system, but you didn't have to come down here yourself." "I chose to," she replied. She stood beside him and watched as he pulled up diagrams on his handheld screen. But she didn't ask questions about the system. Instead, after a long pause, she spoke again. "Tell me more." Rafi blinked. "About the repairs? No. About human words. The soft ones." He laughed gently. "You mean like sweet?" "Yes, and others like it." Rafi leaned back against the metal wall. "All right. Let me think. We have many words like that. Kind, gentle, warm, caring, lovely, peaceful." Talon repeated them slowly under her breath, like she was trying to feel them on her tongue. "Kind, gentle, warm. What do they mean to you?" she asked. Rafi thought for a moment. "They remind us of good things, like when someone helps you without asking, or when someone smiles at you just because they care, or when people protect each other." Talon looked away for a second, as if those ideas were unfamiliar. "In our culture, strength is shown through silence, control, and discipline," she said. "Kindness is rare. Emotions are dangerous. If you show weakness, others take advantage." Rafi nodded. "I understand. But on Earth, we learn that strength isn't only in the body or mind. It's also in the heart." She turned back to him. "The heart is an organ." Rafi chuckled. "Yes. But we also use it as a word for feelings. When we say someone has a strong heart, we mean they are brave, kind, and honest." Talon seemed to take that in quietly. There was a strange silence between them. Not uncomfortable, but thoughtful. Suddenly, the ship's overhead lights flickered. A loud beep followed, and a robotic voice announced, "Warning. Incoming transmission from Sector 9. High priority." Talon tapped her tablet. A holoscreen appeared in front of her. An officer's voice came through. "Commander, a human colony on the edge of the neutral zone is under attack. Telling ships are closing in fast." Rafi's eyes widened. "We have to help them." Talon frowned. "The Council has not authorized intervention. The colony is outside of our protected zones. They'll be destroyed," Rafi said. "There are families there, children. We can't just ignore it." Talon stayed silent. Rafi took a step closer. "I know it's not your mission, but I also know you're not just following rules anymore. You stayed here yesterday when you didn't have to. You asked me about words like kindness. You want to understand." Talon looked directly at him. "I do not understand why your words make me think so much." "Because they carry feeling," Rafi said. "They remind us who we are." Her fingers tightened around the tablet. "I will request orders," she said. She turned and walked away quickly. Rafi watched her leave, hoping his words had reached something deeper in her. Hours later, Rafi stood in the observation room, staring out the wide window at the stars. He had heard nothing from Talon since the alert. A soft sound came from behind him. He turned. It was her. Commander Talon stood near the door, her face calm but serious. "I sent the request to High Command," she said. "They denied it." Rafi looked down. "I figured." She stepped closer. "But I overruled them." His eyes shot up. "You what?" "I changed our course. We are moving to assist the colony. I have full control of this ship while we are outside protected space." "But won't that get you in trouble?" "Yes," she said. "But I believe what I'm doing is right." Rafi stared at her, surprised and impressed. "I never thought I'd hear that from a Zarthan commander." "Perhaps you were right," she said. "Perhaps strength is not only silence." She paused. "And perhaps kindness is not weakness, for the first time since they met. Her voice carried warmth. Rafi smiled. You're learning fast. Talon looked out the window with him. The stars stretched wide, glowing in silence. Suddenly, the alert sounded again. A red light flashed across the room. Enemy ships detected. Arrival in 20 minutes. Talon stood tall. Prepare for battle stations. I will inform the crew. She turned to leave but stopped for a second. Without turning around, she said softly, that word. Sweet, you used it without thought. But it left a mark. Rafi spoke carefully. You want me to say it again? Talon was quiet for a moment. Yes, Rafi smiled. You're sweet, Commander. Not because of what you say, because of what you're doing. Talon didn't reply. But, as she walked away, there was a lightness in her steps. Her shoulders were still strong, her posture still proud. But something was different now. Something warmer had entered the cold steel heart of Zareth's claw. And Rafi knew this mission was no longer just about saving a colony, that it was the start of something much bigger. Zareth's claw moved through the edge of the nebula zone. Outside the windows, the stars looked faint, and the space dust made everything hazy. The crew moved with discipline. But tension filled the air. This mission was not approved by the Zarthan High Council. They were heading toward a human colony in danger. Commander Talon stood on the command deck, eyes fixed on the main screen. Her voice was calm as she gave orders. Maintain stealth mode. Engines at 50%. No weapons until I give the command. The officers followed her words without question. But whispers moved across the room. Everyone knew this mission could bring punishment. Rafi stood at the side, wearing a simple gray tech suit. He wasn't part of the military, but he had been given access to the deck. He watched Talon closely. Her face was strong, but her hands stayed locked behind her back, unmoving. Do you think we're too late? He asked quietly. Talon didn't look at him. We will find out soon. The communication officer raised her head. Signal from the colony, Commander. It's weak, but they are still active. Play it, Talon ordered. A shaky voice came through the speakers. This is New Terra Outpost. We are under attack. 3 telling ships. Shields failing, need help. Then silence. Talon turned to her pilot. Bring us closer. Prepare all weapons. Shields up. The pilot hesitated. Commander, if we engage, the council will know. They will demand answers. I will answer them later, she said. Now, we protect lives. The ship moved forward with speed. Let's dim this power shifted to defense mode. Rafi stepped closer to Talon. You're risking your rank. I know. Why do it? She turned to him slowly. Because I finally understand. There is power in helping others. There is honor in saving those who cannot fight. Rafi nodded. That's what we call strength of the heart. Talon looked at him for a second longer, then turned back to the screen. Minutes later, the colony came into view. Smoke and fire rose from the surface. Defense towers were broken. The space around the planet was filled with wreckage. 3 telling ships floated above the colony. Their design was sharp and red, like blades flying through the stars. They haven't seen us yet, the weapons officer said. Talon's voice was steady. Target the lead ship. Fire when ready. The room fell quiet. Then the first blast shot from Zareth's claw, bright and strong. It struck the enemy ship's shield. Sparks flew across the screen. Enemy ships turned quickly and fired back. The battle had begun. Rafi ran down to the engine room to support the crew. He connected Earth design systems to boost shield energy. His fingers moved fast across the control panel. Suddenly, a tremor shook the ship. Lights flickered. Talon's voice came through the intercom. Engine room. Report, Rafi answered. Shields are holding, but barely. They're hitting hard. Another officer added, main power is unstable. We need more output. Rafi shouted, switch to the hybrid core. I'll balance the flow manually. Steam hissed from the walls as the human tech connected with Zarthan systems. For a second, nothing happened. Then the lights glowed stronger. Power levels increased. Back on the deck, Talon saw the results. Shields at 70%. Good work, engine room. Rafi smiled, sweat running down his face. We're not done yet. The The battle grew more intense. Zareth's claw dodged incoming fire and returned strong blasts. One Telling ship lost control and spun into a burning orbit. Talon stood firm at the center of the deck. She gave fast, clear orders. Her crew followed without question. They no longer saw her as just a cold commander. Something had changed. A voice came from the side panel. "Commander, the colony is sending escape signals. Civilians are trying to flee in small ships. Protect them," Talon ordered. "Cover their escape paths." She turned to the communication officer. "Send a message to the colony. Tell them to launch all pods now." "Yes, Commander." The screen showed small ships rising from the planet. The Telling ships moved to stop them, but Zareth's claw fired again and again. Blocking every path, the final enemy ship tried to charge forward. Talon saw the move and responded quickly. "Full power to forward cannon. Fire now." The blast hit the Telling ship straight in the core. A flash of light filled the screen, and then the enemy ship was gone. Silence followed. The battlefield was clear. Cheers rose from the crew. Talan raised a hand. "Status report. Enemy ships destroyed. Civilians escaping safely. No major damage. To our systems." Talon gave a small nod. "Well done." She turned to Rafi, who had just returned to the deck, his uniform marked with dust and oil. "You kept the ship alive." "You gave it purpose," Rafi replied. For a moment, they simply looked at each other. Then Talon said, "This act will bring consequences." "I know," Rafi said, "but it was the right thing to do." Talon looked at the stars ahead. "We protected life today. We stood for something greater than orders. That matters." Rafi walked beside her. "And maybe you showed your crew something new." Talon was quiet, then said in a low voice, "Perhaps I also showed myself." A soft light touched her face from the rising sun of the planet below. Her cold expression had changed. There was still strength, but now there was something else too. Understanding. Rafi looked at her with respect. "You're stronger than before." She nodded slowly. "And you were right." She said, "Sweet is not a weak word. It means something powerful." Rafi smiled. "Then I'll say it again." Talon turned to him, waiting. "You're sweet." "Commander." She didn't look away this time. Her eyes held his for a few long seconds. Then she said quietly, "I accept that." The damage control lights blinked across Zareth's claw as the ship moved away from the battlefield. Smoke filled the lower decks, and small fires were being put out by repair teams. Even with the victory, the crew had taken hits. Systems needed repairs, weapons needed recalibration. But spirits were high. Rafi wiped his forehead and leaned against the bulkhead outside the control room. He had worked all night rerouting energy, sealing broken circuits, and fixing overheating coolant lines. His body was tired, but his mind was alive. The door opened. Commander Talon stepped out. Her expression calm as always, but her steps were slower than usual. Her hair, usually tight and neat, had strands falling loose. Her black uniform had a tear near the shoulder, marked with dried soot. She stopped beside him. "You should rest," she said. Rafi smiled. "I could say the same to you." She looked at him. "Commanders do not rest until the ship is safe. And engineers don't rest until it stays that way." For the first time, Talon gave a very small smile. It was faint but real. They walked down the corridor together. The hallway lights flickered from time to time. The silence between them was peaceful now. "Do you regret it?" Rafi asked. "Breaking orders?" "Yes." Talon looked straight ahead. "No. Saving the colony was the correct choice. The council may not agree, but I followed what I believed was right." Rafi nodded. "Then you're braver than most." Talon glanced at him. "My people will not see it that way." "Then let them learn. Maybe it's time they saw what real strength looks like." She didn't reply but seemed to carry those words with her. Later, the crew gathered in the central hall. The air was tense. News had come in. A transport ship from the Zarthan Council was on its way. It carried a review team. They were coming to question Talon's actions and possibly remove her from command. The officers whispered quietly among themselves. "She saved lives. Doesn't matter. She broke direct orders. She changed during this mission. Humans changed her. Talon stood at the front of the hall. Silent, she let the voices run. Then she spoke, in the room. Quieted at once. I know why the council is sending their people. I accept that I acted outside orders. But I do not regret it. She looked around. We had the power to protect the innocent. We had the chance to act when others remained silent. I took that chance. I will answer for it. There was no fear in her voice, only clarity. One of the officers stepped forward. His name was Vel. He was older than the others and known to be loyal to the old ways. You were not always like this, Commander, he said. I learned, she replied. You were taught that emotions are dangerous, that kindness weakens us. I was taught wrong. Vel studied her face. Then he gave a slow nod. If the council punishes you, I will speak for you. You do not need to. I will anyway. Others began to nod as well. Talon turned and left the hall without saying more. Rafi followed her quietly. They stood in the engine room later that night. The ship was quiet. The stars outside moved slowly as the ship drifted near a peaceful system for repairs. Rafi leaned over a console, checking final energy readings. Talon stood behind him, arms crossed. I listened to the crew, she said. I heard some of it. Rafi replied. Before this mission, they followed my orders. Now they believe in me. That feels different. Rafi looked at her. That's because belief comes from connection, not fear. She nodded slowly. You helped me understand that. He smiled. You helped yourself. I just reminded you of what you already had. She stepped closer. When you first said that word to me, sweet, I did not understand it. I felt confused, even angry. But now I think it was the first time. Someone saw me differently. I didn't plan it, Rafi said. It just came out. But I meant it. Talon nodded. I used to think humans were soft. Now I think you are something else. You carry your strength in places we don't look. We carry it in each other, Rafi said. We believe in people. That's where our strength grows. Talon looked at the energy core, glowing blue and steady, like fire under ice. Exactly. There was a long pause. Talon finally said, I do not know what the council will decide. Whatever they decide, you've already changed things. She looked at him. You believe that? I do. You're not the same commander who first met me with cold eyes and a frozen voice. And what do you see now? Rafi took a deep breath. I see someone brave enough to lead with both mind and heart. She didn't speak, but her eyes held warmth. The next morning, the council transport arrived. 3 senior Zarthan officials stepped aboard. They wore thick gray robes and gold headbands. Their faces were serious, and their questions were sharp. They called Talon to a private chamber. Rafi watched her walk in alone. He wanted to follow, but she gave a slight shake of her head. She would face them herself. Hours passed. The crew waited. Rafi sat near the bridge, tapping his fingers on the arm of a chair. He hated waiting. He didn't like feeling helpless. Then the door opened. Talon stepped out. Her face was calm, her back straight. Rafi stood quickly. What happened? The council has not removed me, she said. Rafi let out a breath of relief. They gave me a warning, but they also listened to what the colony governor sent them. Rafi blinked. What did he send? A report praising our help, and a message thanking the Zarthans for learning compassion, she added. He said it was a lesson taught by a human engineer. Rafi grinned. Talon stepped closer. They will watch me now, but they also gave me one more mission. What kind of peace mission? I'm to lead a joint research cruiser. Humans and Zarthans will serve side by side. Rafi's eyes widened. That's huge. They requested you be part of it. Me? You started this. You should help guide it. Rafi looked at her. Will you be the one leading the ship? I will. He smiled. Then yes, I'll go. They stood there, side by side, with the fire of change behind them and the unknown stars ahead. The new ship was named Unity Flame. It was built by both Zarthan and human engineers. Its design was simple but strong. The walls had the smooth silver look of Zarthan metal, and the inside systems had Earth technology mixed in. Everything was fresh, clean, and filled with quiet hope. Commander Talon walked slowly through the main deck. Her new uniform was a mix of black and gray with a light blue symbol of unity on the shoulder. This was not a warship, it was a mission ship meant for peace and learning. But deep inside, she knew peace would not come easily. Rafi stood near a console, working on power controls. He looked up and gave a small smile. "Feels strange to walk on a ship where no one's shouting orders," he said. Talon nodded. "Strange, but not wrong." A human officer entered from the far door. Her name was Kira. She held a datapad. "We've reached the neutral space," Kira said. Telling territory begins after that point. Talon took the datapad and scanned it. "Keep us steady. No sudden movements. Our message is clear. But not all will listen." Kira left the room. Rafi stepped closer. "You still don't trust the Telank?" "I do not trust war," Talon replied. "And they are built on it." He nodded. "But maybe they can learn. Like you did." She glanced at him. "Not all minds are open." One day later, a message arrived from a Zarthan relay satellite. It was marked urgent and private. Talan opened it in her chamber. The message was short. "You are to report to Arlax Prime in 6 days. The Council demands a full hearing. Your actions during the colony rescue must be judged publicly." Talon stood still. She had expected this, but not so soon. Her chest felt heavy, not from fear, but from what this hearing could mean. She sent a signal to Rafi. Within minutes, he entered her chamber. "You call me?" "Yes, I have to return to Arlax Prime. The Council has called a trial." "Trial?" Rafi asked. "I thought they let you go." "They only delayed it. They allowed the mission. But they did not forget what I did." "Then I'll come with you." Talon raised an eyebrow. "It is a Zarthan matter. You're part of something new now," Rafi said. "And so am I. I was there. I saw what you did." "I'll speak if they let me." Talon looked at him for a moment, then gave a slight nod. "Then we go together." The planet Arlax Prime was covered in ice. Its skies were pale gray, and its mountains looked like sharp blades. The council tower stood in the middle of the capital. It was tall, white, and cold like the people who ruled inside it. Talon entered the hall with Rafi beside her. The large room was filled with Zarthan leaders, officers, and a few humans in official dress. The air was silent and cold. 3 high counselors sat at the top. They wore long robes and silver bands on their heads. Their faces were calm but strict. Commander Talon, the lead counselor, spoke. "You stand here for breaking orders during the battle near the colony of New Terra. Do you accept these actions as truth?" "I do," Talon said. "Explain your reasons." She stood straight. Her voice was clear. "I received the distress call. I knew help was not permitted, but I also knew innocent lives would be lost. I acted because I believed protection was the correct choice. I believed silence would be failure." One of the counselors narrowed his eyes. "Are you saying your own judgment is greater than the Zarthan command?" "I am saying my heart was stronger than my fear," Talon replied. A quiet stir moved through the hall. Another counselor spoke. "You used a human to assist you. He is not trained in our ways. He was not given approval." Rafi stepped forward. "With respect, I was the only one who could link the human tech to the ship in time. Without it, the shields would have failed." The counselor looked at him. "And you? What do you think gives you the right to stand here?" "I don't need a right," Rafi said calmly. "I just need the truth. She saved the colony. That should matter." The hall was quiet again. Suddenly, the doors opened at the back. An old Zarthan walked in. He wore no robe but carried a wooden staff. His skin was darker blue, and his eyes were soft. He walked slowly to the front. "I'm Elder Vorn," he said. "I was at the New Terra colony. I was there when Commander Talon arrived." The council stood up in surprise. "You are not part of this hearing," one said. "I asked to speak." The elder replied, "And I bring evidence." He pulled out a small orb and placed it on the table. It glowed and showed images of the battle, of the escape ships, and of Zareth's claw protecting them. The elder looked at the council. "She broke the rule, yes, but she honored our people. She protected the innocent. That is what leadership means." The room remained still. The lead counselor turned to Talon. Your actions have divided our thoughts. Some say you are dangerous. Others say you are changing. Talon answered, maybe I am. But change does not mean wrong. Change can mean growth. The council discussed in silence for several minutes. Then the lead counselor stood. We will not remove your command, but your path will be watched. You carry both danger and potential. Talon nodded. Understood. Rafi smiled. The elder stepped toward Talon and said softly, you carry both fire and ice now. Use them wisely. As they left the council tower, snow began to fall. Talon and Rafi stood outside, watching the flakes dance through the air. You did it, Rafi said. They listened, not fully. Talon replied, but a door is opened. Rafi looked at her. And what will you do with it? She turned to him. I will walk through it, and I want others to follow. Rafi nodded. Then lead the way, Commander. She gave a rare smile. Still sweet, she asked. He laughed, stronger than ever. They walked side by side, leaving the frozen walls behind and heading towards something new. The Unity flame returned to orbit 2 days after the tense standoff on Ember 9. The colony was safe. The mysterious ship that attacked earlier had not returned. The Telling had backed away after seeing the unity between humans and Zarthans. But peace was not the end. It was the beginning of many questions. Talon sat alone in her command room, watching the stars. Her thoughts were not calm. Since her journey started, everything had changed. She had learned things about humans she never knew. She had lived with Rafi and his strange Earth habits. She had protected a hidden colony and stood against her people's old enemy. And through all of this, she had started to trust a human. That was something she never expected. The door opened. Rafi walked in slowly. You call me? He asked. Talon nodded. Yes, the Queen contacted me. She wants to speak with both of us. Rafi blinked. Both of us? She said the next step must be made together. They entered the holo room. The lights dimmed, and a large blue image of the Zarthan Queen appeared. Her long hair floated behind her, and her eyes were bright. Daughter, Rafi, she said. You have done well. Talon bowed her head. Thank you, Mother. Rafi stood straight, unsure what to say. We tried our best. The Queen continued. I sent you together not only to learn, but to lead. What I see now is a future that may work, but it needs more than words. Talon waited. The Queen spoke again. Council is being formed, one that includes humans and Zarthans equally. It will guide peace efforts between both species. I want you two to be part of it. Talon looked at Rafi. He stared at the hologram. Me? On a council? You were brave when others ran. You chose understanding instead of anger, the Queen said. You belong at that table. Talon stepped forward. Mother, I agree. But Rafi must choose. His world is calling him back. The Queen nodded. He must decide. So must you. The council will not sit on Zartha or Earth. It will be built on Ember 9. The message ended. The room was silent. Rafi looked down. I didn't think this mission would go so far. You thought you would return quickly. Talon said double quotes yes. But I didn't know I would find something better. Talon didn't answer. She just waited. Later that evening, Rafi walked to the top deck of the Unity Flame. The stars above looked peaceful now. No telling ships. No hidden danger. Just silence. He thought about Earth. About his sister. His team. His memories. And then he thought about Talon. Her calm voice. Her quiet strength. Her eyes when she made hard choices. He heard her footsteps behind him. I'll ask once, she said. Do you want to go back? He turned. Yes, but only if I can bring something with me. What is that? The chance to build something better. With you. Talon didn't smile, but her voice was soft. Then stay. The colony needs people who believe in both worlds. Rafi nodded. Then I'll stay. 2 months later. Ember 9 looked very different. New buildings had been added. The energy crystals were now used to power both research and safety systems. A new council chamber stood at the center of the settlement. Its walls were made of both earth steel and Zarthan glass. Inside, leaders sat around a round table. Human faces, Zarthan faces, a few from other friendly species too. Talon sat at the front. Rafi sat beside her. The first meeting began. There are still threats out there, said a human captain. Not just the Telank. Pirates. Traders with dark goals. We need patrols. We also need understanding, said a Zarthan elder. Force brings fear. Balance brings respect. They all looked at Rafi. He spoke clearly. We need both. Strength to protect and wisdom to lead. This colony almost fell because people acted in secret. We must not repeat that. The council agreed. That day, a new order was formed. They called it the Ember Circle, a group that would keep watch across new space zones, not as rulers, but as protectors. Talon stood. After the meeting, her eyes searched the room. She felt hope. That night, she and Rafi walked under the open sky. The stars were clear. Rafi said, "You still don't laugh much." "I laugh sometimes," she replied. When you are not around." He smiled. She said, "Do you think peace will last?" He looked up. "No peace lasts forever, but we can build something strong. One day at a time." She nodded. "Then let's begin again tomorrow." They stood in silence for a moment. The sky above them was quiet, but deep in the stars, new missions waited. New choices would come. Into voices, one human, one Zarthan, would face them together. Talon stood on the command bridge of Unity Flame. Her hands were behind her back as she stared at the map floating in front of her. The stars blinked slowly on the screen. Among them, one red signal was flashing. It was a colony signal. A human colony, one that should not be there. Rafi walked in from the side hall. He carried a folded jacket and placed it on the chair. "That signal just came in," he said. "It's from a place called Ember 9. No one reported its location before." Talon nodded. "Because it was hidden. Someone wanted it that way." Rafi crossed his arms. "Why would anyone hide a colony, especially this deep in space, unless they knew the Telank would see it as a threat?" she said. "We need to find out who built it and why." Before Rafi could answer, alarms rang out. A red light began to blink across the bridge. "Unmarked ship entering orbit," said the Zarthan pilot. "Fast speed." Not answering signals, Talon moved to the front, put it on screen. The screen blinked. A strange ship appeared. It was dark gray with sharp wings. Its design was not Zarthan or human. It looked like a predator. "Is that a Telank ship?" Rafi asked. Talon studied it. "It is not fully Telank, but parts of it are. It looks modified. Someone is using old war tech." The ship circled above the Ember 9 signal. Then, without warning, it fired. A long stream of red light blasted toward the colony on the planet. "No," Talon said. "Shield it now." The Unity flame dropped fast. It cut through the sky like a silver arrow. Talon gave sharp orders. "Defensive grid on. Put our shield between the blast and the colony." The crew moved fast. The shield went up just in time. The red beam hit their barrier and scattered into sparks. Rafi held onto a railing. That was no warning shot. That was a strike. The unmarked ship flew away at high speed. It didn't wait. It vanished behind a nearby moon. Talon stared after it. Her voice was steady. "Someone wants that colony gone. We need to land." The colony on Ember 9 was quiet. Its buildings were small but strong. The outer walls were made of white metal, and the people inside looked surprised but calm when the Unity flame landed. Talon, Rafi, and Tagaard stepped out. They were met by a middle-aged woman in a green suit. Her name was Zara. "I'm the lead here," she said. "We didn't expect visitors. You were almost destroyed," Talon said. "Why didn't you send a full distress call?" Zara looked down. "Because we were told not to." "By who?" Rafi asked. Zara hesitated. "Some leaders on Earth. They said this colony is off record, a research post, nothing dangerous, but they knew the location was risky." Talon looked around. "What are you researching?" Zara walked them to a low building near the edge. Inside, they saw glowing crystals in a chamber. They pulsed with slow light. "These stones hold energy unlike anything we've seen," Zara explained. "They're native to this world. Some scientists think they can power entire cities." Talon knelt near the crystals. Do the Telink know about these? We think they found out recently. Zara replied. That's when the threats began. Talon stood. This is why the colony was hidden. Someone wanted these stones without dealing with the Telink. A young boy ran into the room. He looked scared. Another ship is coming, he shouted. A big one. Talon and Rafi ran back to the landing site. The second ship was already entering the sky. This one was marked. Clearly Telink. Talon activated her comm. Defensive teams prepare. Do not fire unless fired upon. The Telink ship hovered above them. Then it dropped the communication signal. Talon accepted it. The screen lit up with the face of a Telink commander. His eyes were silver and sharp. You are trespassing, he said. That colony is on a world claimed by the Telink. Talon spoke. Calmly, there was no sign of your claim. No message. No flag. Only a silent attack. You protect those who steal from us, the Telink said. They were not stealing. They were studying. There was no harm done. Your words mean little. The Telink replied, you have 1 hour. Leave the world or be removed. The screen turned off. Rafi looked at Talon. They won't wait. No, she said. But we will not run. Back on the bridge, the team prepared. Talon sent a message to the Zarthan High Council into Earth's nearest command base. She reported everything, the hidden colony, the strange attacker, and the Telink ship now waiting above. Then she stood with her officers. This is not just about this world, she said. It is about respect. If we back down here, more hidden colonies will fall. More people will vanish without a trace. We're with you, said the pilot. Rafi walked up to her side. So what's the plan? We stay here. We protect the people. If they attack, we defend. But we do not strike first. The crew nodded. Time passed slowly. The Telink ship held position above. Then, at the last minute of the hour, it began to charge its weapons. Shields up, Talon ordered. The sky turned red. But before the shot could land, another ship dropped from above. It was a Zarthan carrier. The Shield of Aelor. Its wings blocked the stars. A message flashed to all channels. This world is under the protection of the Unity Command. Any attack will be considered a threat to peace. The Telink ship paused. Then, after a long silence, it turned and left. Cheers filled the bridge of Unity flame. Rafi leaned on the console. They listened. The signal worked. Talon didn't smile, but her eyes showed relief. This is the beginning, she said. But peace will need more than a victory. It needs trust later. As the sun set over Ember 9, the colony leaders met with Talon and Rafi. Zara stood and said, you saved more than just our homes. You saved our future. Talon replied, then build that future with care and honesty. No more hidden science. No more secret orders. The stars began to appear in the sky. Rafi looked at Talon. You were ready to fight without firing a shot. She looked at him. I was ready to protect. He nodded. You always are. She turned to walk toward the ship, and he followed, step by step.